Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Card Shop. I'm the big dog. I'm here with my co-host, the masked Mike Fruitman, owner of Mike's Stadium Sports Cards, Colorado's best card shop. And Mike, clearly you're shilling for Panini today. I can see from the mask and from the shirt. But overall, because this is coming out roughly on the Independence Day holiday for the U.S., we thought we'd go with a little bit of a fireworks theme. So I'm coming to you from the top deck at Coors Field for Fireworks Day, which they have quite often, and it's usually one of the only games that's sold out. So, sadly enough,
Unless
but
the
yeah.
Yankees are in town.
Sorry, go ahead.
Unless the Yankees or Cubs are in town.
Yeah, or the Red Sox. It's kind of the tradition, right? So, Mike, let's talk about what's coming out in early July. I know Spectra basketball. We're already looking at first off the line, and it'll be out July 1st, which by the time we send this out, it will already released. Interestingly, Spectra, when I'm seeing on first off the line, usually it's a thick card. They're all like 130s or in that range. And this year, I think they're actually doing some 75, 55 size cards as well. I think Obsidian basketball will be out, the first half of July. What baseball products are you looking at that you think people should take note of?
Of course I'm wearing the shirt, but Absolute Baseball. Absolute Baseball, when it came out for years, was one of my favorite releases. It has a great track record to it. It hasn't been around as a standalone release for a while. Panini chose a really good time to reintroduce a lot of their standard products to baseball. And we've had great success this year with Prism Baseball. Not just the draft edition, which isn't out yet, but a lot of people have been really excited about Prism, in part because we haven't seen it as a standalone release for a long time, but also Prism, the Prism brand has become such a monster, literally a tidal wave in this industry, that, I mean, if they made Prism dog racing right now, I'd be carrying it. Not to compare dog racing to other things, but we have an opportunity right now, shops do, to order Prism WNBA. And there's a lot of interesting debate on a Facebook group that I'm involved with. Do you order it? Do you not order it? Can Prism carry every single product? And I'm not going deep. I'm not putting all of my recent sales money into Prism WNBA. But I think the excitement that goes with that, I think that sport's got some growth opportunity, visibility. I think it may be a little bit, I'm not sure actually. I don't even know if they're playing this year, pardon my ignorance. But the fact that it's the first Prism release for WNBA, I think that's going to be an interesting thing. So going back to Absolute, I think the return of Absolute Baseball, I've got great memories of that product in terms of a lot of the inserts that I've seen out of there. So I'm really looking forward to that one. And there's actually a couple soccer brands that are coming out right now. I'm gonna walk over and take like a little tour of the shop. This is always dangerous because somebody might see how messy my store is. But like, this is what's left of my soccer. I've got some Stadium Clubs, Donruss, which is actually a really popular product. Select is becoming more popular. Yeah. Stickers, still a work in progress, but the Prism, the pink boxes up there, that's a product shops used to have to buy to be part of the Father's Day or Black Friday promotion. Yeah. And I think we're all like, oh, geez, I got to buy all this. However, right now, those are $300 boxes that we all had to buy, that we were stuck buying in order to be part of a promotion, and really seeing some changes there. So we've got some Topps Finest and also Chrome Bundesliga coming out in the beginning of next month. That initially Topps instituted a policy where we had to buy certain products to maintain our direct membership. And I think at one point we were like, there was some dissatisfaction with that. Nobody likes to be made to do things. But at this point, I'm now welcoming those products. The surge that we've seen in soccer recently has been pretty, it's palpable. There's a lot of excitement going into these products that we haven't seen for a while.
Yeah, so, you hit on the point, and one of our regular listeners, a guy named Preston, he had a suggestion. He goes, look, a whole lot of people are out there, and a whole lot of collectors out there, and they're just throwing money at this hobby, and they don't have a goal, they don't have a purpose, and they're just throwing money out to get stuff, and there's a gambling aspect to it. And so he asked us to talk about, if you had $100 to spend in the hobby, if you had $1,000 to spend, if you had $5,000 to spend, what would you do and how would you invest? And so, to premise this, because I want to ask you about, what you would do as a card shop owner, from your advice. But, when I look at this, I completely look at that concept of 100, 1,000, and 5,000, just like I would going to a casino. And if you have $100 and you go to a casino, you better start out with what's your goal. Is your goal to be entertained for a while? Is your goal to hit it big? Is your goal to potentially win a little bit? Well, what's your goal? So if you have $100 and you want to gamble for a while, you're probably going to the penny slots, or you're going to the $5 blackjack table. If you got $1,000 at the casino, then it's a different deal. Then you can go and you can pretty much play most of the games in there and enjoy yourself. But if you're going to go try to hit it big, you go play the $1, $5, $10 video poker machine, or you go to the high limit craps table and you play it heavy. 5,000, much the same thing, but unless you're really crazy, you're probably going to make it for a while regardless, so you'll be entertained for a good period of time.
Sure.
All of them, if you're the $100 guy and you want to hit it big, you get to make one bet, because that's pretty much all $100 will get you, is one bet if your goal is to hit it big. You got 1,000, you can probably place 10 bets and try to hit it big. If you bring 5,000, it's bigger. Scroll back to the hobby. If you only have $100 to spend, you kind of have some directions you can go. And so I'll start with you, Mike, so from a wax perspective, if someone wants to buy a pack of cards or a box of cards for $100, what's your advice about what they should spend it on?
Well, great question. My initial response is buy blaster boxes. You can pick up blaster boxes a lot of time in the $20 to $30 range. Most are designed to come out of the $20 range. This year, with the market being as it is, I mean, we've got Bowman blasters in the $35 range. I know they're 20. Believe me, and I'm buying them from folks who are bringing them to me. I'm not paying $11.35 for them, or at least I did for a very small percentage.
A little background, folks, just for everybody. Mike has gotten some people throw some rocks at him because there's retail that sits in Target and Walmart and stuff, these blasters, and Mike's gotten some criticism for they're trying to ascribe that he buys this stuff up and then he's marking it up and he's cornering the market type stuff. And what I can assure you is that isn't the game. And Mike's talking through what he does and how he does it. He's not trying to go buy up stuff. He's not going to Walmart and buying their stuff and then bringing it in. He's making an offer and a product in his store for those that have an interest in it.
Yeah, no. Josh Kroenke, if you're watching this, I am not going to denigrate Walmart in any way. Sorry, right. Josh is my indirect boss's boss's boss. However, he owns the Nuggets and some Avalanche team. Perhaps you've heard of them. When I go to Target and Walmart these days, I'm trying to get in and out of there as quickly as possible, and I observe the card aisle. But I'm not going over there. I'm not competing against you for Mosaic blasters or Bowman blasters. We are, however, buying them from people who walk in. And in terms of investing right now, blasters are actually a really safe investment. We do carry them. We get a small stipend of them from some distributors, and I hope this video doesn't affect that. But we're also buying them aggressively from people who are coming in. We're getting a lot of folks who are doing it's got to the point now where people actually know Excel as a known commodity. The restocking, the company that stocks Target and Walmart, the company is Excel. It's not done by Target and Walmart themselves. And the fact that enough of my collectors know of the name Excel as a company is really impressive, because they're there at this one at 3 p.m. on Tuesdays, and I know to be there. So to start off with, I would actually go for blasters. If you're at the $100 level, you can actually, if you can get them direct, you can pick up 5 blasters. And it's not only good from a getting in standpoint. I mean, we've got Score blasters. I think you get 132 football cards for this year. So it's not it's not a paltry amount. I mean, it's $20 for 132 cards. And we actually do have them at $20. What's also cool about blasters is you can kind of get a good synopsis of a bunch of different products without having to spend, Score hobby boxes have 4 autographs per, but you're spending over $150 a piece to do that. So $100 doesn't even get you a Score hobby box this year. So picking up a blaster for $20 will give you a chance to enjoy the product, get a taste of it, and see whether it's for you. We also have Prism blasters that we're still selling at $20 for a 2020 baseball. And there's lots of parallels in there. We've seen not every box, but we've seen some of the boxes deliver relic cards as well. So my advice, here it is, the hobby shop guy, and my shop at least carries them, perhaps your LCS does as well. But here's a hobby shop guy saying $100, you probably want to get into some blasters. You may be able to pick up 4 or 5 at that price point and get to experience a number of different product lines.
Right. Yeah. And so that's my biggest advice to folks is, you talk about blasters, they're obviously a good entry point. And folks, if you're going to speculate, and if you got $100 and you're going to speculate, the first thing I tell you is that you're not going to get the miracle card of the 80s for $100 box. It just doesn't happen. There could be big cards in there, and they're not going to be life-changing cards, but there's big cards. So you start in with what's your purpose. Are you trying to collect a certain player? If you're trying to collect a certain player, maybe you go get a bunch of blasters of that sport and hope to get that player. If you're trying to hit it and make some money, the best thing to do is buy those blasters and put them in the closet for a year, because that's going to appreciate the most. Mike and I are both fairly active in the gambling world. Mainly blackjack's Mike's game, and mine's video poker and craps. And both of us would readily admit that the best bet we ever make is the one we don't make, because that is the one that has the biggest return, because it's 100%. If I don't bet $100, I get $100. The minute I put the money down, the chances of winning and chances of losing are less. That ain't how it is with cards. If you buy wax right now, the general play is it is appreciating for a number of reasons, including interest in the hobby. But quite frankly, the supply and demand is just out of kilter. There's not enough supply to meet the demand and the people coming into the sport, into the hobby, and it's an opportunity. So you got to start with why are you getting in? And just to go to the $100 one further purpose. So we think at 3 different parts. You got the gambler, you got the collector, and you got the investor. The investor would not open the wax. He wouldn't. He would get it and he would put it in the corner and leave it. The collector would always open the wax because the collector wants the cards in there. The gambler would always open the wax because it's a gambler. That's a different play. So understand who you are and what you're trying to do. On the single side, if you have $100 to spend, go decide some people that you like. That either if you're a gambler, go find a real potentially successful player and put $100 into their rookie cards. Sit on it and see what happens. That's a gamble. If you're an investor, go get some lower price stuff of a proven star that could improve and lock them up. And if you're a collector, go find the people you like and go buy their cards and just buy the singles, because then you're assured of getting it. So it depends on what you do. So now let's pivot and go to what you would do if you had $1,000, Mike.
If I had $1,000, I'd start looking at cases. I'd start looking at multiple boxes. Pretty much anything safe right now, or excuse me, you're very safe with anything that begins with the word Bowman, and anything that has it's part of the grouping from Panini. It's anything with the chrome technology. So I would say you're very safe probably safe with the Prism, Mosaic, Select, and Optic brands. They've developed this following that even people who don't know much about collecting know about those brands. You had the Gary V pushing the Giannis card, the Prism card, and holy crud, there was a silver that I sold the other day. I didn't sell. Somebody sent me this link to a silver Giannis Prism rookie. There was a 10 that sold for $27,000. The guy who sent me the link, he's a pretty active high-end singles grader and works with those singles. And he's talking last year at the National, he couldn't sell those for $5,000. And here we are. We haven't had basketball in 3 months, and that card's gone up to $27,000. And that might be one auction. It might be one specific collector who's interested in that specific card at that time to push it that high, but somebody still had to bid second on that to get it to that level. So anything within that family seems to have incredibly safe history to it. Recently on the shelf, and we're out now, unfortunately, we had 14, 15 select basketball, 15, 16, and 16, 17 select basketball. And each of those products are gone in part because they've got potential There's good rookies in those years, but also people are just, those brands just have, it's moths to a flame. People can't avoid them seemingly. And Sean, I mean, you were part of the reason we no longer have. Was it 15-16 or the 14-15? You were part of the
14, 15.
destination.
14, 15. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it as there's less product on my shelf, each product tends to stand out a little bit more. And I've had the 15-16 on my shelf probably for 2 years. I picked them up at Burbank Sports Cards. I just saw them there, like, okay, it's 15-16. It's got the Joker. I'm in Denver. Let me bring them back.
Yeah.
And it took a little bit of time, but those are gone now, and they've also appreciated. So I started looking for boxes from brands along those lines. Pretty much anything named Bowman, and then anything within those 4 brands specific to Panini, I would certainly look at those products. And then obviously the sport you like even 2019 football. It's in an interesting place right now. I haven't looked in a little bit for the Prism. I think it's in the $300 to $400 range per box. I've got some. We're just not selling it at this point. But so it's 19 football is a really interesting thing. So we're in Denver. I can sell 19 football pretty well because of Drew Lock and Kyler Murray, and there's other players, Jones, Jacobs as well. But 19 football, the prices have gone up and the boxes have appreciated, but we don't necessarily have the folks in line to buy them right now. But when we get closer to the season, I expect that'll change. And I'm not sure whether it's price scaring off people. We have Illusions like $324 a box. When it first came out, that's like a $150 product. So I know I've gotten a little bit tangential here, but it's kind of what you get with me. But it's interesting to see. I mean, wax has proven to me never to be a safer investment with an asterisk here. I mean, how do I draw an asterisk? A lot of times we're seeing new products coming out at prices that are the market prices. We just had a Legacy hit. Legacy was advertised by 3 larger internet sites at a price above $200, and that's a box that typically comes out in the 120 range, 119, and it's only been out for 1 year. This is the second year with it, so I'm thinking back last year where it probably came out at 119. And those guys started off at the 199 or above range. I think at one point they were pre-selling at the 250 range. So when you get into a product, it's a massive difference. The product came out. We saw that Panini was making it available at $135 on their website. Now, bear in mind, when you buy it from Panini, you have to pay sales tax and you also have to pay shipping charges. But it's also, I mean, $135 compared to what the other guys are selling it for definitely looked like an attractive price. My shop, we elected to come out at $129 to the public. So we're factoring in not just where the market is, but you also have to figure out when you're getting into a product. So I would say be careful with some new products in terms of when you get into them. It used to be you were buying a product at the lowest point and watching it go up. The easiest one for me to always reference is Prism Basketball. For 1920, we started off at $399 a box. It's now, I mean, when Corona effectively shut down the NBA, it was $800 a box, and now it's in the $1,200 to $1,300 range per box. So in that instance, getting in at the ground floor definitely made sense. And if I could just have all those $399 boxes back. However, what we're starting to see is, unlike in Topps Inception and Gypsy Queen, and a lot of the products that just had a steady climb when Corona began, we're starting to see some changes where a lot of products coming out maybe a little bit higher than it perhaps should be. So just make sure when you're buying, first day isn't necessarily best price. So another factor to consider as you're looking not only what to buy, but when to buy.
Yeah, and so the general rule, and I think you're hitting on it, is, you know, the cheapest box of any product you can buy is the first one. That's a general rule of thumb. They get it wrong occasionally, and again, Panini's starting to get real smart about aligning what I would call their sell price with what the sell price of a distributor and a card shop owner is. So Panini's capturing more of that margin than they did historically. You know, it's a natural progression. They're seeing what this resale stuff is, and they're going, hey, I want some of that. And so just understand, given the supply demand dynamics, you know, if you're going to invest $1,000 in wax, you know, you need to look at pre-sales. You need to get out in front of it. You need to go hit your card shop on release day. You need to go talk to them in advance. Do your homework in front, because the cheapest box is the first box. And someday that's not going to be the case, and someday it's going to turn the other way. But in a line where the market's constantly increasing, get in early. And if you're in a big site and they have pre-sales, by God, jump on them. There's risk to it, but with the way the market's going, the appreciation's there. So if you think about singles for $1,000, you got a bigger swath of opportunity. You can invest in a raw Giannis card. You can invest in a raw Trout potentially that you can take a risk. Give yourself $50 to $100 on the side, spend $900, and then have that card, get that card graded. If it looks really good, take it out. Listen to our past podcast on how to decide to grade a card and what it's like. You've got the opportunity at $1,000. So it's a wider swath. You can buy a case of some products. I think NBA hoops was a half a case of NBA hoops was less than $1,000, and now a half a case of NBA hoops is probably $2,200, give or take. A box was $100. You could have bought a box of NBA hoops when it came out for $100, and today you could sell that box to Mike for probably $200, and he'd probably be okay buying it for that much because he can sell it. So again, the first box is always the cheapest. So get out there, work the pre-sales, and accumulate some wax. Singles, grab some, get them graded. Or if you're a collector, find the guy you like. Get his rookie card. If it's a big player, you probably can't get a real high-end Trout. You're not going to get the Bowman or any of that stuff, but you can find Trout rookies and be worthwhile. So play that game. So now let's go to the psychos like me. So if you have $5,000 to spend, let's start with the wax. What are you spending $5,000 on if you're a guy that's going to get into wax to invest?
I'd look at pre-sales now for products like Bowman Chrome. We're expecting that later on this year, after August. In terms of baseball, I wonder. I'm still not sure what's going to happen with baseball. Baseball might be. I think if baseball doesn't play, I would start looking more at buying baseball perhaps on the low. Either existing products that are out, such as Bowman right now, or future releases, Topps Chrome, Bowman Chrome. I would start looking at locking into cases of those products and letting them sit for a couple of years. With Topps Chrome, you're going to get more of an immediate response because all the autographs in there are rookies. Those are all guys who have experience. With Bowman Chrome, you're looking at 1 year out, 2 year out, and in some instances 3 year out. Some instances you're looking at never coming out and playing cards. So it depends on how quick you want to get a response on that. We're not going to see minor league baseball this year. So all these guys who used to hit 330, who were tearing it up, or going from single A to double A to triple A, and killing it in triple A and about to come up, we're not going to necessarily see that type of impact. However, in the same regard, we haven't had any baseball games this year. However, what you're not seeing Gavin Lux go 0 for 10. You're not seeing him have a 3 strikeout night. So yes, you're not seeing Gavin Lux with 15 home runs at this point into the season. However, in the same regard, you're not seeing him being sent down to AAA. You're not seeing him have a bad play. So it's kind of weird. I mean, we're still selling Gavin Lux and Nico and Bo Bichette, Jordan, and all these guys. There's tremendous buzz about them, and it's based more on spec than perhaps it's ever been before.
Yeah.
One thing that's going to be interesting with baseball is the expanded rosters. You're going to see, since there is no minor leagues, effectively each team's going to have their own practice squad. So you're going to see more guys up at the major league level. I'd start looking at those rookies. I'd be paying more attention than ever to them. And I don't know whether your best bet is to get in early on them and watch them rise, or maybe let them falter a little bit. I mean, it's really rare to see. I mean, we don't have an Aaron Judge every year. We don't have an Acuna every year, a Bellinger. These guys who seemingly don't have a dip point. I mean, Judge had a little bit his rookie year when he got hurt. I want to say it was in August. And it was like, we banked on this guy. But he's proven to be a long-term commodity. I would say, use every single game. I mean, if we have all 60 games, it's going to be a lot easier to pay attention to each one. I don't know how the separation is going to be. I don't know if they're going to go day off, day on. I can't imagine. I haven't seen anything resembling a schedule yet, but I can't imagine they're going to stretch things out because of how late the season's already going to go. But I'd start paying attention every single game. It's a lot easier to do in football, where you've got 1 day a week where you really need to pay attention to stats and how players perform. With baseball, you've got to grind it out. You've got 30 teams effectively playing every single day. So paying attention to rookies just requires that much more involvement. Make sure you're using your barometers, make sure you're using eBay, ComC to see where the activity levels are on those players. But to get back to it, I think looking at Topps Chrome, Bowman Chrome, those are two specific releases that I would be identifying as safe investments in terms of if you can start locking in Prism football. If you've got shops that will sell you that or Select, those are certainly safe cases. At least the last few years have proven to be. Even quote unquote weak years like 2014, 13, 15. Each of those years, we're seeing tremendous success and interest, in part because of the speculation on the players and also the lack of availability of other products from those years.
Right. Yeah. So, the one thing folks need to keep in mind, and it is mostly focused on baseball. If you are trying to get rookie cards and you're trying to hit it big with a rookie card and you're going to open the box, just understand that when you open that box, put them all away and don't look at them for a year. If there's somebody that there's high speculation at the time, this year, the example is Jason Dominguez, A, Z Yankee, and B, blah, blah, blah. You can sell them right away, but if you don't sell right away, you put them in a shoebox or put them in your little card holder and do not look at them for 2 to 3 years. When you do, when you go back later and look, you'll have a bump. You'll have 80% to 90% will be worthless cardboard, probably go straight to ComC and sell them for 10 cents. But there'll be the 1 or 2 guys who have made it. And because they've made it, that's where the value is. Today, what's interesting is when you buy something like Bowman, and I bought some HTAs last year. I don't play baseball a lot because it's too long of a go, and it's hard to babysit it, and I can't tell who a good bet is. So, I got all these autos. I put them all away. At the time, the autos, they were all selling, it was kind of a narrow market, but there's a value range. Now, just a year later, with only 1 season played out in that, and this season's skeptical, some of them have gone up and a lot of them have gone down. But I'm still going to hold them for another 2 years because nothing has happened. But it's a long hold. Football, basketball, pretty quickly. There can be some guys that have bad circumstances, and you kind of got to eyeball them, especially in basketball, because the roster makes the player. But it's a better bet. It's a better bet if you need instant gratification. So if you're an investor, again, don't open the box. Even at 5,000, don't open the box. Leave it sit and close, and just put it away and don't look at it for a year. And then go to some website and see what Blowout or some other big place that sells lots of cards, see what they're selling this stuff for, and go, holy shit, I made this much money in a year. Then sell it or don't sell it. If you're an individual collector for $5,000, now you're getting some high-end rookies with the guys that you want. I will tell you that ultimately, if you develop a keen eye, buying a raw rookie card of the guy you like that's in really good shape and getting it graded and it getting a 9 or better, that's going to create value, and your card's protected and you can retain it, and it's a pretty cool display play. So that's the kind of play you can get into if you have $5,000. I can tell you, if the converse of Mike, where Mike says, hey, Bowman, Topps Chrome, etc., for baseball, that's all the rookies. If you like the stars of the sport, go buy a box of Diamond Icons or something, high-end stuff where it's only the stars of the game. It's not, they're not getting the rookie that's going to be in the league 5 years from now. It's a product that's out there for that. National Treasures is very similar for basketball, although 5,000 barely gets you 1 box of it. So the product's out there for you to do if you have that kind of a bankroll. And you can enjoy the hobby a lot. If you're an individual collector, you could pretty much buy a case of a lot of product to build a set of something. I mean, $5,000 would get you an Allen and Ginter to probably do the whole set, plus or minus. You might have to pick up some odds and sods, so you'd budget a little side, but you could build the whole set. And so, it's the bottom line of this stuff, folks. If you only have $100, you just keep your expectations right, because you could also take $100 and go buy lottery tickets, and the chances of winning aren't very high. Well, this is a little more odds of getting something good than a lottery ticket, but the odds are the odds. And just like in gambling, the more you gamble, the more you'll win, and by the way, the more you'll lose. Right now, wax sports cards are one of the best bets known to man. I'm telling you, if you'd have put money in 18, 19 Prism basketball last year and put the same amount in the stock market, you'd be happy with one and unhappy with the other. And I think everyone can tell you which one you'd be happy with. So, take the time, understand why you're in the hobby. Are you an investor? Are you a collector? Or are you a gambler? If you're an investor, don't open the box, or go find players that you think are talented and invest in them. Invest in the Amazon of players like Giannis rookies at the time, that kind of stuff. If you're a collector, go find your guys, get them, collect them. And if you're an investor, wax, 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 wax. So
it's funny. I remember talking to you a year ago, a little bit, talking about how to invest, and I was bringing up collecting wax, and it may be the toughest thing to do in this hobby. Well, okay, the toughest thing is knowing when to sell something.
Yeah.
But collecting wax, I've got so many people who have now started to embrace it, and it's interesting. I'm making box sales to people, and I know full well those boxes aren't getting ripped. I've got first day Bowman Chrome buyers. Yes, there's that need for whoever this year's player is going to be. But I know a lot of those case sales are to people who are going to be sitting on those products. I would also, when you're buying these boxes, I would literally put a sticker on the case or the boxes, so you've got that quick recollection of what you paid for it. And then maybe even at the same time, put your hope price on it and do a reassessment. Because if you buy a box for 100 and your goal is to get to 500, the toughest thing to do is to sell it at 500. Because now it's like, wait a second, I put 100 into it, it's gone up to $500. But now it's a great investment. Should I hold on to 1,000? I'm going to go back to a gambling analogy. When I put money down on a blackjack table, if I can double it, I will often run away. And I might have won the last 4 hands, and how many here? I'm never going to lose. You're going to lose. I guess you can win 800 hands of blackjack in a row, but you're eventually going to lose. So it's a matter of thinking, okay, so if I got it at 100 and now got to $500, is it going to go to 1,000? It's time to reassess. And you've got other things, especially with tops and upper deck, to consider. A lot of things to wonder about is when are the expiration dates? We sold out of 2018 Bowman earlier this year because we knew the Joe Adele redemptions were about to come up. Right. So I decided to move off those products at that time, and it was to somebody who was going to do breaks with them right at that time. So they weren't going to get stuck with them so nobody's going to get stuck with anything. They're collectors. Even if they pulled one in a break, they could get the code immediately and send it in. But also factor that in. Who is a redemption? We did a break the other day with a 17-18 Panini product, and Panini's by far the best company to work with in terms of expired redemptions. But one of the expired redemptions was for Kobe. So when I hyped up the case, I was talking about Jason Tatum and Mitchell, but at no point did I say Kobe was in there. Because if we happen to pull one, I didn't want somebody to say, well, I bought in your case. You said Kobe's in there. It's a redemption card. You took my money. You stole from me. I was hyping it up on Allen Iverson, Reggie Miller. We actually pulled a Reggie Miller autograph. Sorry, no, Sean, I know you're going to like that. It's the much to my chagrin. You know what? As a compliment, Sean, who's a season ticket holder to Nuggets, there's one day a year he wears yellow, but not Nugget yellow. So
I will gladly cheer against the Nuggets for 7 games in a season anytime they can, because that would mean the Nuggets and the Pacers in the NBA Finals. And I do not think – I think I will be long dead and buried before such a thing occurs.
Reggie Miller's not walking through that door again.
Yeah, no kidding.
But specific to that case, I didn't factor in the price of the case based upon Kobe being in there.
Yes.
Because I don't know what Panini's doing right now with redemptions regarding him. And maybe they're honoring them all. I don't know. I think if they don't have it,
there's risk. There's risk. And so, look, you and I've talked about 2018-19 opulence basketball. I know for a fact when you open that stuff, you get excited if you see a redemption because Luka Doncic is a redemption in it. I think there's certain basketball products this year where Zion's a redemption. But opulence last year, all of a sudden, the release date, the redemptions are expired. So now you're running the risk of if they don't have the card on hand, you're not going to get the card. You're going to get points. That greatly diminishes the value of that product, especially when it's a Luka Doncic is one of the players that's a redemption, just like a Zion would be this year in a basketball product. So you got to know that stuff. And you as a card owner, card shop owner, you're aware of that. But Mike's a little more honest than most people, folks. There are other people in this world that would sell you that box of opulence saying you can get a Luca and stuff when they know good and well the chances are less than certain that that card is even valued if you get one. So, keep your eyes open. I know this is gonna come out, right around the 4th of July holiday, and I do want to spend a moment and tell everyone that, I'm happy to be in a country where we can do this silly little podcast, and Mike can have his own business where he can sell sports cards, and he can basically live one of his dreams every day. I'm endlessly happy that we can do all this stuff, and it's good to celebrate the independence of a country. I mean, it's been a long time since that happened. There's nobody around that remembers it, and I think it's a good thing to just on a holiday like this embrace how lucky we are to live in a country where people can have their voices be heard. That all this craziness that we're dealing with in the card hobby can be talked about and vetted, just like things in society can be talked about and vetted. So, enjoy the holiday, folks. I think we're not going to have the sports we want to have on the 4th, unfortunately, but they'll hopefully be coming soon enough afterwards. And Mike, I will give you the last word.
All right. Well, I'm not going to Wyoming this week to buy any fireworks. So since it is the 4th of July, please be safe. Please be careful. You cannot open up packs with nubs. So who am I thinking of from the Giants?
Jason Pierre-Paul.
Yeah, exactly. Don't go JPP on yourself this 4th of July.
Okay. Well, folks, thank you. Have a happy holiday. If you like the podcast, please like it. Please share it. Subscribe to our show, and all the best. Take care.